Another week has gone by, so we got another week of updates to do in the aquarium gallery. It's going to take me a lot longer than I thought to take care of all this gravel and put the planters in, so in the meantime, I installed some temporary stairs so it's easier to get in and out of the building without having to jump up. The 375-gallon aquarium stand has been basically completed. All I did was wrap this in plywood and paint it black, the same color as the 2,000-gallon aquarium. I've shown you guys how to build these stands time and time again. Nothing has changed. The only thing that I haven't done yet is figure out what I want to do for doors. You see, I left these panels here, just kind of sitting here until I figure out what I want to do. Do I want to do doors, or do I want to do panels that can come completely off? I'm not sure yet, but I got plenty of time to decide. The office area is complete. We have the platform with its flooring installed. My desk is out here, my little chair. We have some shelving, the monitors installed, as well as a little bit of storage up top, which is going to be really important out here to keep everything nice and tidy so it's always clean looking. What I really like about this platform is that it's connected to the 375-gallon tank, making it look like one unit. And for those that have been following along, I painted the 2,000-gallon aquarium all black, which I think looks really good, and it's going to serve as a temporary cover until we figure out what we want to do with this long term. The inside of the aquarium isn't completed yet, but something did arrive. The epoxy. Again, you guys know I love using Pond Shield by Pond Armor. It's easy to mix up, easy to apply, and offers a really nice epoxy coating. There's a bit of a few things I have to do first. You see, it hasn't been a full month for the 2,000-gallon concrete to cure yet, but next week, late next week, it will be 28 or 30 days. And at that point, what I'm going to do is mix some muriatic acid with some water in this tiny little handheld pump. I pump this up, it builds up pressure in the bottle, and then it can spray. I'll mix it to a ratio of 1 to 3. And what this is going to do is dissolve all of the calcium buildup that's been pushed through the concrete. And this is really important, not just to remove it, but simply because it gives the epoxy a little bit better surface to adhere to, but more importantly, if I don't remove it and I epoxy it too soon, all of this calcium pushing through this concrete will potentially push up that epoxy, ruining the coating. So it's definitely an important step to this build, and we can't avoid it. The downside is that we simply have to wait until the cement is cured or the concrete is cured, apply that muriatic acid and rinse it off, most likely wait a day for it to completely dry, and then we can move on to the epoxy. I also ended up building the platform behind the 2,000-gallon aquarium. We all thought that was a good idea, so I went ahead and did it. Also had to add my decals to above the aquariums, above the 2,000, as well as above the 375. This one is the DIY, or King of DIY decal, that a lot of you guys might be familiar with. Once the 375 is in place, it will stand about 2 feet tall. It'll still be visible, but it's that one that I know a lot of you guys are going to like. This is the DIY Fish Keeper logo, the one I wear on my shirt. Oh, also, when I'm up on this platform here, you can see it's about thigh level and gives me a really good perspective of below, and I can work in and around the tank. Clearly, I can step on it, or sit on it, or walk around it to get to the other sides as I'm scrubbing it or cleaning it, or whatever I need to do. Personally, I'll probably use this to just kind of admire the fish from above, because at the end of the day, that's one of the perks to building a tall tank that sits on the floor. I also want to cover a quick question. A lot of people, or at least a few people, are saying, I want to see the step-by-step tutorial of some of these builds. And I can tell you those things are coming, but for example, on the cement tank, it's being done in probably 12 steps. I'm not going to make 12 individual videos for one tank. What I am doing is waiting till it's completely finished so I can give you a video from start to finish and a complete step-by-step. Now, I know a lot of you probably would never build something like this, but it would definitely be interesting to see. You also might notice that there's now a runner that runs the length of the entire gallery, and I thought this adds a touch or a little bit of comfort to the room and sort of finishes it off instead of giving it just a cement base. Now, you might be wondering, carpet's a bad idea in a place like this, but this is like an outdoor mat, or has rubber on the underneath, and it's completely waterproof. I can clean it, wash it whenever I want. And I think that's it for now. Now, you guys want to see the final scaping to the 2,000-gallon tank. If you guys watched my live stream here on YouTube the other day, I did a live scaping and figuring out all of the wood, and I showed you each individual piece. So I'm not going to show that today, but if you want to see each individual piece that I got, it's in that live stream. One of the plans was to take that wood and line the entire aquarium. I ended up not liking it. It was just too much. It didn't look very good. So I thought, what are some things that I do want out of this? Well, I want a scape that doesn't touch much of the floor. Only a few key points to hold the structure up. Reason being is the freshwater stingrays that are going to come in here. I want them to be able to swim everywhere without taking up a lot of the real estate on the bottom. It looks like this is taking up a lot of room, but again, it's only touching in about 4 different spaces, maybe 4 square inches of space taken up in total. Second thing I was concerned about was, what about the Arowana? I want to leave lots of large open swimming spaces and allow him to swim around the entire structure. So that's basically what I was aiming for, was to move the structure to the center of the tank almost, allowing lots of room to swim above and around it. Now, the Asian Arowana spends about 90% of its life at the top 20% of the water column. So I have all of this open room everywhere, and the only places that's kind of going to get in his way is just this spot here. This will be submerged in water, and some of this will be above water. So I'm not taking up a lot of his real estate either. Now, I've mentioned time and time again about having decorations with Asian Arowana and the dangers that are presented with doing so, meaning that the Arowana could get spooked and bang into the decorations, injuring itself, potentially causing some secondary infections, and in the end, it's just not good for big fish. However, that's in aquariums that are a lot smaller. You see, in my 375-gallon tank in the house, that tank is too small to have the fish and decorations. And decorations in an Arowana tank aren't actually needed. They don't hide, they don't need it for security, they're an open water fish for the most part. But in a much larger aquarium like this one, with much more room to move around, and if he gets scared or jumps or dashes into something, chances of that happening are much less. Okay, let's take a closer look at the structure here. So I'm using 3 individual pieces, and you might even be able to tell them distinctly. This here is a piece, and it kind of goes to the back there. This is another piece here, and then this smaller piece there, kind of rounding it off. I gave it a kind of an angled look where it's not flat in the back. It's also able to there's not going to be any dead spots or places where any detritus or anything can collect. The fish can get in behind it and do whatever they want back there. Ultimately though, what we have to remember, and what I'm showing you right now is just a basic structure, but what we'll have to remember is the fact that I want to cover this entire structure of wood with lush plants. I want this to truly be a beautiful centerpiece. So that's the plan. So if you can, imagine that. Now, for those that don't know what type of wood this is actually called Malaysian bogwood. It's a bogwood from Malaysia, clearly, as its name suggests, meaning that it's been submerged for many years, making it an extremely dense material. But because it's been submerged for so long, it's soaked up so many tannins, and it releases a lot of tannins once it gets in the water, but not forever. The biggest benefit is that it sinks immediately. Unlike if I go and collect it locally, I'll wait 5 to 25 years, if ever, for pieces this big to actually sink. Now, as is, it's just set up to see what it's going to look like. I'll have to remember what this is all set up like, because I really like it, and I'm going to make sure that I do exactly this when it's time to put it in the tank. However, I do have to take it out, of course, to treat the tank and epoxy it and install the window panels. But it needs to be pressure washed because it's quite dirty, and I want to remove a lot of the debris, as well as soften up some of the sharp edges that might be too sharp for the fish to injure themselves on. But one of the things that I really like about this wood, come here, is that it has so much character. If you look really closely at it, you can see so many little nooks and crannies for me to be able to install plants on and have them root really nicely. But again, if we look under it, the rays will be able to swim under this no problem. Again, there's no real contact points that's taking up much real estate. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the best setups that I've done in comparison to what I did on the live stream. The live stream was really difficult because I wanted to put all the wood in here, all 7 pieces, but I'm only using 3. Again, I think this looks pretty good. I'd love to know what you guys think. Perhaps it doesn't look as good on camera as it does in person, but I'm absolutely loving it. Again, let me know what you guys think or what you think I should do. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. I know that it's a lot of little things happening, but it's truly everything out here is really coming together, and I'm really excited. And I'd love to thank you guys for sticking around and coming along with me every step of the way. I do plan to do more live videos here on YouTube, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well. Until then, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next Sunday.